welcome to another episode of Teaching with Madly Learning. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about my reflection of my own teaching, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about, this last year. As it was about this time last year that I made the decision that I was really in the need of a change. So I have reduced my teaching contract for a while now to a 0.6, which means that I essentially work 3 days a week. Previous to this year, I was working every morning and one full day in a classroom position in the same school that I had been teaching in for 8 years. And I always get itchy after a while that I need a change or I need something fresh and I need to move. And I want to be uncomfortable sometimes. I find if I get myself a little too complacent when it comes to teaching, that I fall into habits that isn't always the best for me or for my students. Forcing myself to make a change in my career, whether it is moving jobs, moving schools, forces me to, number one, see a broader spectrum of the teaching world, be exposed to different teachers with different teaching styles and different ways of doing things. And I am always continually inspired by my colleagues in what they are able to do. I recognize in myself what my strengths are as well as what my weaknesses are, and I love to be surrounded by colleagues that have amazing skill sets in different areas that help me grow as an educator. I feel inspired and want to bring that both into my own practice as well as share some of my reflections with you. At the end of last year, I had been thinking for a while that it was time for a change, but I wasn't willing to give up a place that I absolutely loved working for just any old job. I wanted to be a little bit picky, and it's a little bit difficult to find part-time positions when you're picky about what it is you got to teach. So, that being said, now, an opportunity came to me at the end of the year. There was a special in our board, which doesn't always happen, but a third round of permanent postings that came out. And it just so happened there was a exact match, a 0.6 position is an ESL itinerant teacher. Now, this is a job that I had done earlier in my career and loved. I loved the ability to work in and work with other teachers and see all of the different ways they were doing it, and it inspired me. And I loved that. And I love working with ELL students. They are hardworking, dedicated students, and the stories of their lives just bring hope. And they are so strong that I love surrounding myself with students that are just so dedicated and committed to working, and ELL students inspire me all of the time, and being able to advocate for them and help to be their voice was always very rewarding to me. So I jumped at the opportunity to take that challenge on again and move into that position this year. This year, I have spent the last year, I did have a 6-week break with a leave of absence there, but I did spend the last year working as an itinerant ESL teacher in my school board for 1 year. And I love the job. I love the kids. I loved the staff I was working with, and the school administration was fantastic. There was absolutely nothing about that position that was bad or that I didn't enjoy, except I missed the classroom. And this was not something that I had anticipated at all. I thought maybe being out of the classroom would be a great mix, would allow me to mix things up, give me a little bit of a different taste and flavor of education, because itinerant teaching is a different beast all in of its own. It's still a lot of work. There's still a lot of things you got to do. It's different from classroom teaching, but I said to myself I was ready for that change. What I didn't anticipate is the amount that I have changed as a teacher in the last couple of years, and what really drives me and what is my passion for teaching. And perhaps I should have known better But what my passion is, what makes me happy and wants to go into work each and every day, is the teaching and the instruction and the planning. I love planning lessons. That's kind of what I love doing. I've built an entire business over planning lessons. But what I didn't realize is how much it feeds my soul to be able to plan and teach a group of students. I missed the relationships that you build with students that are in your homeroom class. And I didn't necessarily think I would miss that. I still built amazing relationships with the ELLs that I supported through this year, and I will forever hold them dearly in my heart. But there is a different kind of thing that happens when you have a classroom, and it feels like a home, and it feels like your home, and you're the captain of that ship. And I missed it. So we made the decision with lots of thought, and was a family decision, because classroom teaching sometimes does take a bit more of evenings and weekends from you than, say, itinerant teaching does. But we made the decision that I would apply and then accept a 0.5 classroom position for the fall. Now I'm super excited to be going back into teaching at a brand new school. I still don't know who the principal is going to be, which is a little nerve-wracking, but I'm going back into the classroom to teach grade 6. Now, grade 6 is not a class that I have ever taught as a homeroom teacher. And my favorite part is that I get to teach the subjects I love teaching the most, which are going to be language and social studies. And I cannot wait to help and walk you through some of the things that I'm going to do to get ready to start this new position in a grade I have not taught before as a homeroom teacher, in a school I have not taught in before, and getting to meet my teaching partner who I will be job sharing with this year, as well as my new teaching partner that will be teaching in the class next alongside me. I don't even know if it's next door, but the other grade 6 teacher, which will also be an LTO for the year. So it's a brand new team at a brand new school, and I can't wait to share with you that process of what that's going to look like. I think it's really important. This has been an extremely stressful year for every single teacher everywhere around the world. I'm pretty sure I can say that. Everywhere around the world, this has been a really stressful year for teaching. But it's also been a year of growth. It's been a year for me, and hopefully a year for you, to reflect on what you love about teaching. Because when it's pulled away from you and when you don't have it, there are things that you appreciate about your job. There are things that you don't like about your job, but there's also things that you really value. I value building the relationships with my students. I value being the captain of a ship, at least in the mornings, for a group of kids. And it's not just about teaching. It's about relationship building, and it's about growing and learning. And I've learned how much I love planning and instructing. That's what gets me up in the morning. And even though it might take a lot of work and it might be overwhelming at times, like report card season, it still is what drives me to go into work every day and teach. So one of the things I hope that you can do is, although this year has been crazy and it has been insane and it has tried you and tested you and pushed you at every single limit that you probably have, and there are days or weeks where you have cried every single day, think about where you were last year, maybe 2 years ago. Maybe 2 years ago. This has lasted a long time. And I want you to think of how far you've come and what you have learned about yourself as a teacher, what you have been capable of. Literally think of the things that we have been asked to do and are continued to be asked to do. We have done the impossible, and we have learned to teach on a dime in a completely different way. What can we take back? If September starts to look a little bit more normal here in Canada after many of us have been vaccinated, what are we going to take from the last 2 years and bring it into our classrooms in the fall? Tech, organization, how technology can help to keep us organized, how capable my students are at navigating difficult situations. It's not been perfect, and there's certainly been students that have struggled through this. But as an ESL teacher, watching students who are new to the language, learning how to navigate tools and technologies, it is possible for them to do it with the support that is in place. And I cannot believe the growth there, and I have seen potential in these students. And these are the lessons that I'm going to take forward in me. And it has pushed me into areas that I never knew I could possibly do. It has made me appreciate how comfortable yoga pants are and how much I really don't want to have to wear real pants. It's made me appreciate how much I love having lunch with my kids and how much I valued that, but also how much I enjoy being able to leave my house and be a professional every once in a while too. There's a lot of hard things that have happened over the last 2 years in our careers. But as we take the time to reflect on what has happened and how things have changed so drastically, what can we take away from that that will forever change us for the better? What have we learned about ourselves as teachers? What have we learned about ourselves as people? And what are we going to do differently from here on out? Education has changed, and we have changed along with it. And if we let it, it will help us change education for the better. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Teaching with Madly Learning.